Hello, and welcome to this How to Build a Farm on FS25. Today we're going to look at everything about how and even why you would want to build a farm on FS25. The first thing we're going to go into is why you would want to build a custom farm in FS25. Now, for me it's for specifics, because the base sort of farms you get on the base game maps by Giants are very kind of not specific to any sort of farming. They're just kind of generic and cover a bit of everything. So like this one's got some cows, a small grain bin, a shed, and that's about it. There's no real specifics to this. This could be used for probably anything, which is probably the reason why Giants do it that way. So they're not penciling you in from the start and forcing you to play a certain way in game, which is good for a new person and things like that. As you advance in Farming Simulator, you might have a specific way you want to play, and that's why building your own custom farm is great, because you can kind of build it to what you like to play in your play style. Yeah, that's why. The first step in how to build your farm is finding the right area for you. There's a couple options you can do. You can buy an existing farm like this. It tends to be a bit more expensive for the land because all the buildings and stuff are kind of included in the price a little bit. But it is probably an easier option for a beginner. There are downsides to doing it though, because some of the items you cannot sell or get rid of, which is a bit frustrating. The other option is just to buy a field. So for instance, we will speed across to this field. You could just buy this field and start your farm on here. So there's nothing else here, it's a blank canvas, which can be fun. Also a bit intimidating if you're new to it, but it is a nice blank canvas and you can do whatever you like on it. There's nothing in the way, and it's very easy to get going if you kind of have an idea of what you want to do. This option can also be fun. As I say, there are some limitations to it in terms of deleting everything can be a bit annoying because you need maybe mods to edit things to get rid of. Why they put those in, I have no idea, but they've obviously got reasons for it. So another thing that you want to consider when buying your land is where it is on the map. Because you may pick an area that you think, oh, this is going to be great for building, but you are miles away from anything and it is a nightmare to try and take anything to the store or buy anything or take it to your productions. You might be fine with that. You might be fine with all the driving, and that's, again, totally up to you. But that is something to consider as a location. Because there are some great locations on Riverbend. I've built on this one as well. Some people might not like that because they might be using a lot of the facilities up here. So maybe somewhere up here would be better to use. Again, totally specific to what your needs are. So the last thing you should consider when you're buying an area is also how flat it is, because how flat it is means how easy it is to build as well. Currently we're like flying over, and we can see that these fields are very flat. I would fully recommend going to ground level and just double checking if it's all nice and flat. Maybe you want a challenge and you maybe want to have it on a slope and all that things. It does make it more of a challenge, and we'd have to do more terraforming. So these areas here would be a little bit more difficult to build on because they're on a slope, and just how placing buildings and things works on FS25, it would make it a bit more difficult, but you could get around it. You would just have to flatten out little areas and it would work well. But it's definitely something to consider, just getting your feet on the ground into that area to make sure it is suitable for what your building needs may be. And that takes us nicely onto the next part. So now we have planning. Planning is in two parts for me. The first part is picking what I want to have on the farm. So sheds, or if I wanted to do a dairy, I would have cow shed, with something for my tractors, a farmhouse, workshop, something like that. I would have about 4 or 5 things probably to start with, and then I'd maybe put pieces on after. The reason I do that is just to sort of work out how much space I'm going to kind of loosely need, just roughly. It also lets you kind of budget as well if you're doing this in-game in a real save that you're kind of being realistic with, just so for money terms. Like I've got 5 million now spawned in, and you can get spoof money anyway. There's tons of videos on how you spoof money onto game for a custom build without any budget. This is a good way to kind of budget, is just to pick what you want. The next part of the planning that I kind of do is on a bit of paper sometimes, or I will have just loosely start putting things down as well, just to see if they fit. or just do like this and you can kind of see where they would go. So the first part is picking your stuff, and the next part would be loosely placing it. And I keep saying loosely and roughly because you're going to have a little bit of give and take, because sometimes you can't get them as close or where you really want them to be. It's just with how the editor works, really, without the editor, how the building thing works on Farming Simulator. It's not brilliant, but it is good and it is usable. So that's planning. But once you've done your plan, you want to kind of clear your area. Now, this area is pretty clear. It would probably just need flattened. I have another area that I purchased to show you what you can do with clearing. We have field 33 or area 33 here. It has some buildings already on it, so it's like a pre-existing farm. The other one we had just over there was an empty field. So this one you would have to do sort of more clearing and more terraforming. To do that, we just go into the build menu. You can just click on the building that you want to sell, and you sell it, and you can get the money. You can also hit B, I don't know what you hit on a console, and that just demos everything. So you can just go into demolition mode instead of again that, and it comes up. And you can just clear everything that you don't want. When it comes to trees, you can't just delete the trees. You have to cut them down. It's easier on PC because you can get the lumberjack mod and you can easily get rid of trees. On console, it will be a lot of stump grinding and things like that. Yeah, you just want to clear the area or clear the space so that you want to be able to build on. So you kind of just want a little bit of a blank canvas. For this one, I would have probably just taken those away and put what I want here and here. This is like a prime area for doing like cattle and stuff on this one, I would have thought. It'd be pretty cool to be a big cattle shed here. And then you could even have your silo and stuff up here. Or your arable maybe up here, and then your cattle down there, just as a loose idea. We might throw something in that in a bit. Yeah, that is just clearing of the area before you start placing stuff. So building, placing, and terraforming. We're going to stay in this area up here and we're going to place some buildings down. I'll show you some of the issues that you can kind of get when you clear areas. So we'll start here because I just have a feeling that this will be an issue. I think it was this house we took off. Yeah, so you get overlapping with other objects. I don't know how to get that. Land is not owned. Yeah, you get all these lovely things, and it can be quite a nightmare if you've just cleared an area and you're trying to put your house down and it won't fit. And you're like, oh, it is annoying. Especially when you don't know why. It could be this little light here, maybe. I don't know. It's quite hard to tell what it is, but you can't actually get rid of that. So that is one of the issues that you have. Oh, look, I'm flying. When you start deleting things, is trying to put something back doesn't often fit in the space. But you do have this big area here. I would probably just maybe work with something to try and get something in there, or you don't have an undo button, which is very annoying. But that's why you kind of want to save the game and maybe go back into it. It's always good to have a map to play around with first as like a dummy run and then do it, especially if you're clearing an area. Because it can be very frustrating. Trust me, as in that one, I don't know how you would get a house there. It just keeps saying overlaps with an object, area restricted, all that fun stuff. But yeah, you can just plan out what you're wanting to do. Here, so I said I could put a cow shed there. Yeah. I've not done this before. We just go buying. Yeah. Then you have a cow barn. And then you need some stuff to go with your cow barn. You don't know where anything. I'm so far removed from building these days. I'm like, where is everything? Where is like manure stuff? Ah, there we go. You could have your extra manure here. And we could have some... Ah, there we go. They're just snapping one. So some of this stuff doesn't place a random... You can't turn it every single which way. This one's doing snapping at 90 degrees, which can be annoying. But if it suits your build, it's okay. I can make that huge. But yeah, just place it there. So you can see those ones didn't cost me anything else because there was no terraforming involved. Because this area is flat, it didn't cost any extra money. If you were to build, let's just grab something here. You can see there it's 49,000, but it can go up if you kind of go over onto the hill. I'll show you a better example of that later. That's placing buildings on a pre-existing farm. I see it's very simple because the area was nice and flat. Did have the issue with the house here, which again, the only option that I know is to sort of have a dummy map that you're wanting to just don't care about and you're just playing around on, and then you can maybe build another map that is your actual game that you want to play on, because that would be very frustrating if you've done that for the first time, as anyone is well aware. So we'll go to the other field now, and we'll have a look at that one to show you placing in some terraforming on there. Okay, so we have this area as well. Let's put a farmhouse here. So as you can see, this is $135,000 for this farm. This area is nice and flat. As soon as you start going up the hill, it'll start adding more and more and more. The more money you add, the more terraforming automatically do into the area. So if we were to place that down, it sinks in, or it goes on top of the land that is there. Now we can sell that, and the land still stays the same. As you can see, it has terraformed it for us without us doing it. Yeah, that's pretty much placing buildings. The more uneven, the more it costs you. And again, terraform before or after is totally up to you. Now we're going to look at terraforming, which can be a bit tricky. And it is a bit daunting because there's no undo button. But I'm just going to run through quickly what these do. I'm not going to go in depth on what terraforming does. I think you just need a rough idea, and it's more just sort of playing around with it and experimenting for yourself. So the first one we have here is raising and lowering. And as you will probably be aware, it raises and lowers the ground. So we are going to get a nice big area, just so everyone can see what we're doing here. Now obviously how to use these advanced controls, it tells you up the top, but this isn't a terraforming video. I'm just going to show you loosely what these do so you have a rough idea for now. So to raise it, and then you can lower it with the other button. So these can be used to make sort of a higher up feature, or if you wanted to make a pond and things, you can do it. I'm not sure if the mod's out to do that yet. There used to be one on FS22 where you could lower the mod and then you could put a pond in here or a lake or whatever you wanted, or do rivers with it. Yeah. As it says on the tin, it raises and lowers it. So we're going to do a nice peak here, just for now. So I'll show you something after as well on the next one. So now we have level. I like to do level on a square. So what level does is it makes everything that you go over the same level as where you started. So if we were to start here, and then we want to go over this lump, it levels it to the area that we started on. But in saying that, if we start up here and bring it down, it is going to level it to that higher area. The leveling tool is very fun to use because it can level all the area for you. So this is what you would use to make your area flat, or is the area that flat is that you would want it to be. This is a tool you would want to use to sort of make your farm level, basically. So if you had this area, you started here, and instead of doing what I did there, you wanted to flatten out first, the leveling tool is what you want. Now, next up, we have soften, which I really like. Soften takes away these hard cuts here. They're very self-explanatory. They do what they say on the tin. It softens the curves. It makes it look more realistic. Kind of cut in. There you go. See, I do use soften quite a bit because it just finishes off. It looks like a natural hill raise now, as opposed to just being this jagged cut out sort of area that we had. And last up we have slope. Now, to do slope properly and give it actual justice, we do need to make a rather large peak, just to show off. So with slope, you just set your target point, which we're going to have here. And we are just going to go up to it. You see, it's quite broken, but you can keep going back over it, and it will draw a path for you. Probably not looking at this in the right sort of camera angle. You just set your point that you're wanting to go to. It's not, it kind of is a bit finicky to use. It's not the best, but it is quite cool for doing like cliff faces and other things I've found. Oh no, but if we reset our target point, yeah, I think we reset our target point, right? There we go. To reset it, you just right click on it. You can make this as wide as you want as well. Yeah, it's quite good for making sort of mountains or cliff faces and things like that you can decorate in. It's more of a niche one. I've not used slope often at all. Very rare I've used slope. The other three, mainly level and smooth, pivotal to building, I would say. Raise and lower a little bit. In slope, probably a lot more niche. For most people, I don't know if you would really use slope too much. Yeah, that's a quick rundown of terraforming. Not in depth, just loosely showing you what's there. So next up we have sort of the finer details. So painting, shrubs, just kind of decorations to make the farm a little bit more realistic is what I like to do. So we're just going to throw some stuff in here. We're just going to do a rough quick build. This is like zero planning as well, so bear with me. This could be a total disaster. A shed. What shed do we want? Just do... shed here. And this is just like loosely throwing stuff together. I need a grain silo. What are we going to go with? Let's go for something decent sized. I'm envisaging you come through there. Do that. I'm going to want this to sort of sit. Maybe a little angle. What else do we need? Do we need anything else? Yeah, you know what? I'll leave it at that. Again, doesn't look like much here. It just looks like it's 3 items dumped down. So what we're going to do is going to paint. So what I kind of like to do is just to pick something that's going to be like the base kind of colour that I'm going for, or like what we kind of want to do most of the area in. And then we just want to get it all down. So I'm just putting down a base colour. This isn't going to be the colour everywhere. We're just throwing down a base there anyway. We do have issues because we don't technically own this bit, so it's not letting me paint right up to the road. I do have a mod normally that allows me to paint anywhere, but for the reasons of the video, just to show sort of everyone on every sort of console and things like that, I don't have that installed. So this would be annoying if you're on console, if you can't have the anywhere, place anywhere, paint anywhere mod. You might want to look at doing this field and using this as your area, but yeah, it's quite annoying that they do that. But yeah, I put a base colour down, so that is sort of just a loose thing that I like to do. And then I kind of go and backfill it. I know it seems counterproductive, but this is kind of just how I like to envisage what we're doing. So we're kind of just having a gravel path around the house. And I'm going to do a dirt bit here, which we'll put some grass on after. We'll do some bespoke stuff on that. We do want to have maybe a bit closer. And I'll put that in there. We are just going to paint this up. I'm going to have around about here, which we'll probably put some mud through. That's our base colors are all kind of down. Now I'm just looking at doing like finer details of it. So this like muddy bit here is kind of like where they're going to be like parking, I would say. So we do want to put some gravel through it. That looked absolutely terrible just now. Need to add some more colours into it. It's hard to try and do when that is the smallest size of... No, that's the smallest size of brush. Sorry, I was in the wrong one. That is why it's not looking so good. And maybe just put an extra... Not exactly fine-tuning it. That's all we're trying to do, is make this area look like it, like a muddy gravel bit that probably gets parked on. In detail, like in close up, it doesn't look amazing. You might think, why has it got all those colours? But it is just to make it try and look like it is a muddy parking area. You are limited with the colours here because the palette's not as big as it needs to be. There is a mod that allows you to do all of the colours that are available. So we have that. That's pretty much my painting done. I'm not going to go into too much more detail with round. What you can do and what I like to do as well, sort of change up here. You're going to have like trucks and stuff coming through here. And I just try and like follow what route things would take round. You just kind of do like rough lines round. You know what I mean? So like I'm just doing like where the wheels would maybe go on a tractor, where the wheels would go on a truck, and just trying to envisage footfall or traffic flow on the ground just to mess it up a little bit, because it's not always going to be the same. But it's very difficult with a small brush. You're just trying to make it less than a solid colour. That's what I'm trying to do and say, really. You're just trying to put it down. What I also do for when I'm building and putting down machinery, I do like to drive them round a bit just so it puts like wheel marks and stuff, so it looks like the yard's used, but we'll get onto that when it's like more scene setting. I think that looks good because you're pretty much going to just be doing a circular motion round. We're not going to be doing much else. So now we're kind of going on to shrubs and things. So everywhere we've taken the grass away from, we are going to put back on. Here. We're just going to have to pretend this is going to be our way in next to that sign. I know you wouldn't really put it next to that sign, but just for the sake of our quick build here, that is where it's going. So just put some here. I do like the fact you get 3 stages of grass now as well. I'm not going to go all the way up there. I'm just going to do around our build as opposed to everywhere. Don't have to go to the edges. Where you need to go. And then for shrubs as well, they kind of come in like grass. I do find these a little bit more tricky sometimes. I do like to mix them up and put in different ones. Just try and build it next to the road line. Here, just have some more there. Definitely here. And there. And then we can go on to some trees. Now, I do want a big center piece. There we go. And then our other trees. What going to be? I'm just trying to see what ones I want to put down. Yeah. Don't tend to look at the type of trees. I tend to look at how it blends in with other things around it. You probably would want more the more trees mod as well. I don't know if that's available. This is probably excessive. I'm just trying to show you what you can actually really like put down to make it look how you want, just to make it sort of feel more alive. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just putting things down to think where it feels. You kind of got to take a look back as well. And I do also like just to come out of the build mode. We're in flight mode now, and we can come down and we can see what it looks like. We've done our painting. Let's say I just do the strokes like it would be where the path of a vehicle would go. You can loosely see what I've attempted to do here. It doesn't look great. I'm not 100% happy with that, but I think you get the message of it's a muddy parking area. And then we've got our flow round, our sheds, bushes with the trees. You can put the trees down first and then put the bushes in. Again, totally down to what you guys want to do. This tree here, we've not really finished around it. So we can hop back in. And go to painting here. It doesn't even like us painting next to that. That's a very weird issue that we have, but that is the problem that you have when you don't have some of the mods on. It just does not like you building in some areas, which is pretty frustrating. Yeah, that is going to be our little farm. Yeah, there you see, it didn't take long to just throw that down. But again, I didn't really have any plan there. It's not, it might work for flow, but it's just a few things in it. And yeah, that's how we would put the build together. So that last bit was maybe a little bit warbling, but I just had to like show you how my process of putting it down. And so all of that, to get to the point of the last bit, we did have to do, obviously, the clearing, the planning, and all that stuff. The planning was loose in my head. Again, you would probably want to do a better plan than this because we've just kind of thrown this down. Then the next bit as well is as a sort of an additional step would be equipment, sort of placing your equipment and things like that. If I'm doing a build to sort of show off to everyone as a YouTube video, I do like to pick my machinery and kind of place it in a way that sort of tells a story. So a good one is to have, we're in August just now, which is coming up for harvest time for some materials. So you could have this like yard almost operating as if it's just done a harvest. Again, that's just for making videos. If I was to build this farm, I would probably pick equipment as well that would match it. It's obviously a smaller farm, I'm not going to have massive tractors and things on it. Again, totally up to you and how you want to build. So that is it for how to build a custom farm on FS25. If I have missed anything, or if you've got any questions, please put down in the comments below, and I will answer you best I can. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and check out some of our other building videos that we've done on this channel. And if you've enjoyed the video and you found it helpful, please give it a like, that'd be much appreciated. And I will see you guys again next time. Goodbye.